Alright, so today we're going to show you what it takes to install an Armytrix full exhaust on this 2013 Audi RS5. This one is the V8 all-wheel drive option. Extremely nice car. So we'll show you a little bit on what you're in for if you're going to be installing one yourself, or just an overall overview on the Armytrix exhaust system for your Audi. Alright, so we have the RS5 on the lift. We are looking at the factory exhaust setup on it. Overall, looks pretty simple, pretty straightforward on this car, nothing too crazy. We'll have to undo this brace here, but it's really easy to get to. Simpler than the exhaust we did on the Lexus for sure. There's some of the clamps. Hardest part on this one really is getting the downpipes or the Y pipe off. So there's a total of 3 bolts on each side, or 3 nuts I believe actually. This has studs made into the Y pipe on the factory setup. They're kind of difficult to get up into. We'll go ahead and probably drop off this part of the shield, and then we'll be able to actually get our hands up in there a little bit better. We will go ahead and soak all these down with some penetrating oil, try to make it a little bit easier. They're not real rusted or anything, but anything with exhaust, just from the time of getting hot and cold, it really bakes them on there pretty good. We'll come back through here. Like I said, the exhaust is fairly simple on this one. We do have the active exhaust valves that we have to disconnect when we go to pull it out. Looks like there's just a vacuum line on each side. Really can't see it up in there. We'll show you more when we actually get them out. But before we start actually taking anything apart on this, we are going to go and look at the new box of exhaust parts from Armytrix. As you can see, it's almost as wide as the bug. Let's get this opened up. Oh, that's a lot of packed peanuts. Alright, so we got our Armytrix exhaust all out of the box. As you can see, it's all in good shape. It is all very nicely wrapped up. It was very nicely packaged, which is nice to see. Some of these systems we see come in, they just have them wrapped in paper and thrown in a box. And they come in all beat to hell. It's pretty depressing. This is very nice actually. So that is our full exhaust. We're going to go ahead and leave it all wrapped up until we go to actually put the pieces on the car. Wish you could really see the quality of this box. Automotive weaponized. Scan for your warranty, registration, install manual. Nice little decal. Here's some of the stuff. This is for their upgraded setup for the active exhaust. We'll be able to control it with the push of the fob. And looks like we have an extender for the OBD2 port for where that's going to plug in. So we'll see how that all sets up in there. Got some wiring, got a new vacuum switching valve, a bunch of vacuum line, and some T's. Alright, so getting started on taking apart the RS5. We do have the rearward portion of the undershield taken off of it. This is some of the hardware that was on it. So someone has changed all this stuff out before, because these are not factory fasteners. There's a couple of these bad boys, which I really doubt Audi wanted self-tappers in this thing. But actually, with this bottom shield off there, we can see some of the nuts up there. So it'd be a tight fit up in there, but we can go ahead and take them off. See there? This side has, the passenger side has a little better room. But here you can see we have the passenger side portion of the Y pipe or down pipe out of the car. Wish I could tell you I found some really sweet way to get that out of there easier. There's not. Had to do a combination of a couple different tools. The lower bolt holes on each side aren't too bad to get to. You can get to those ones fairly simply. The upper ones are terrible. So this one actually ended up being not quite as bad. This one's a little tighter. I just found one of my least favorite wrenches. And I took this baby and cut it down. What we did was get this up in there, up on the stud like that, and then had to use a very long pry bar and a pipe to pry against this, and having the body of the pry bar up against the floor pan of the car. This is the new portion of the down pipe and cross pipe that's installed, or Y pipe as you might call it. So anyways, except for one up here, when we reinstalled these, we ran ahead and put the bolts in facing downwards, removing the factory portion from the rear. It's really simple. The factory slip collars, they come off, they slide back and forth either way. You do have one rubber bushing right here, one rubber bushing right there. Against the factory one, you just use a pry bar against it. You can pry those off of there. When you're installing the new ones, it helps you put like some WD-40 or something like that on those. It'll help it slide back over here a lot easier, so you're not fighting it as bad. We did end up taking this little brace off. Those are 16 millimeters. Just 4 of those. Zip that off real quick, drop that down, and then back here you have one bushing going to this muffler and one going to this side. Like I said, just pry those off, lube them up before we put the factory one back up in there. This one, these pipes didn't line up perfectly, so we actually had to compress these two together a little bit to get them to slide over. Back here, we did have to spread these ones apart a little bit because the tips were really wanting to touch against on the fascia side, so we don't want it to vibrate or anything against that. Still got to make some minor adjustments on this side because it's pretty close. And then to remove the vacuum lines off the factory actuators, and you can actually get to these going from inside the exhaust tip, and we just use a small pry bar, put against it and pry it against here, push the vacuum line off. On the Armytrix exhaust, actuators are back a little further, so we do have to run different line to there to make those work. We're getting to that portion of it, and overall this exhaust is fit very nicely. It looks beautiful. We left as much of the covering on it as we could while we were installing it, just leaving the ends open. There's still some handprints and stuff like that from installing it, so we will wipe all this down before we start it. With any new exhaust, especially stainless steel, titanium, anything like that, you would think you wouldn't be able to hurt it, but if you start it and get the exhaust nice and hot while you have these fingerprints and handprints on there, it is hell trying to clean that off afterwards. It just burns on there. And got our little brace in there. And our hardware stuff, we didn't have anything for a bolt on this one. Probably just got misplaced somewhere in the packaging, I'm not sure, but we just went ahead and put our own little bolt in there. Alright, so your kit from Armytrix has your OBD2 interface. That just comes up under here, plugs right into the OBD2 port. Comes up there, fits kind of snug, but that's alright. And then it has the extra outlet for your black and blue wiring that will go all the way back to the back of the car for the control solenoid. And then this is the Armytrix control box. So we got all that plugged in up there. The wiring, got it tucked in behind this panel, and it goes all inside this footwell panel here. You can pull all this stuff up, just be real gentle with it. It does have quite a few clips that go on there. Some of them are metal clips on top of that. And then we're really gentle with this one up here. Kind of pops up and slides back. We didn't take it all the way out, just get it up and move it a little bit just to get the wiring behind it, get it all underneath this. Make sure you are very gentle with the seal here. And then got this pulled up all back here, and here's where the kind of rear cup holder is. It's all part of this same panel, so that kind of gently lifts out. And then we did run the wiring underneath the bottom of the back seat. Just get it shoved up underneath in there, and then we're able to get up in here and actually pull it through inside to the trunk here. We made sure we kept that all tucked inside there. And then the wiring they give you is a little bit long for the actual car. We could have cut this down and shortened it. I really didn't feel like cutting the wires on this, just in case. So we just tied these up. This will all be covered up back with the same panel again, so if you wanted to, you could cut that down and everything, but we just left it like that and tied it up. Here's your new secondary solenoid. This factory line goes to the output on the factory solenoid, so that one you will remove from there. You do a new section of hose from the factory solenoid going into the base of the secondary solenoid. You have your new hose that you have coming out of here, and it will go into your 3-way T. They give you a 3-way T. It really just should be a 90, because the other one you don't use, they have you they want you to cap it off. Their picture shows a piece of vacuum line with a screw in it, which would definitely work, but Can't believe they wouldn't give you just a vacuum cap or just give you a two-way fitting. Either way though. So go ahead, and I just had a vacuum cap on hand, so we go put that over it. So the one line coming from your new solenoid goes into it, and your output line going to the rear of the car tags into that. Tuck these down, goes into there. You could redo all this line going through here. I didn't want to do all that and hurt all the factory stuff. So where it comes down under the car, really hard to see in here, but there's some of the vacuum line there. So the original actuators just sit right here by the exhaust tips. The actuators on this system are all the way in the back. So I just cut off the original short little S piece that have a vacuum hose and attached the supplied vacuum hose that comes with the Armytrix kit to the factory nylon line in the car. Did that. We zip tied it up here to make sure it doesn't rattle around anywhere or get hung up or caught or rub up against the exhaust and burn it. And ran it back to our actuator right there. And then we did the same thing on the other side as well. So just doing a patch piece right there, cut off the existing small rubber section, run the new line on there. That's how Audi V8 should sound.